If you want to stop being taken advantage of, you must first stop lying to yourself. The Stoics knew this well. They trained themselves to see reality clearly, without emotion clouding judgment, without fantasy distorting truth. And if you want to stop being used by women, you must do the same. There are always signs. Always patterns. You just have to be brutally honest enough to see them. This video is not for the faint-hearted. It's for men who are tired of being manipulated, tired of being the backup plan, the free ride, the emotional crutch. Watch until the end, because each chapter peels back a layer of deception. If you've ever felt like something was off, but couldn't explain it, you'll find your answer here. Like, subscribe, comment, and share your own story. You might just help another man wake up. Chapter 1. She only contacts you when she needs something. The Stoics believed that virtue and honesty should guide every relationship, not convenience, not manipulation, and certainly not exploitation. When a woman only reaches out to you when she wants something, let's be clear, that is not a bond. That is not affection. That is not love. It's a transaction dressed in familiarity. And you, my friend, are the currency being spent. Look closely at the timing. Does she vanish without a trace for days, maybe even weeks, and then suddenly reappear with a message like, "Hey, can you do me a quick favor?" Or, "I really need your help with something." That's not her missing you. That's not her caring about how you've been. That's her pressing a button, because she knows you'll respond. You always do. She doesn't want your soul. She wants your services. This isn't a rare behavior. It's a calculated pattern. These women are often very good at appearing sweet when they need something. They'll laugh at your jokes. They'll use words like, "You're such a good friend," or "I always know I can count on you," because they've learned how to wrap dependency in the disguise of closeness. But there's a catch. The affection ends where your usefulness does. Try saying no once. Watch how the tone shifts. The lightness in her voice turns cold. The emoji-laced texts go silent. Suddenly, she's too busy, too tired, or just vanishes altogether. That's not coincidence. That's conditioning. She trained you to equate usefulness with attention, and now you're afraid to pull away, because part of you has started to believe that being needed is the same as being loved. But it's not. Stoicism teaches us to seek clarity over comfort. To recognize that emotional manipulation often comes in the form of selective engagement. These women won't waste time on you when they're happy or satisfied. You're not part of their joy, you're part of their maintenance. They don't call to share victories. They call when something's broken. You're not her partner. You're her backup plan. Her fixer. Her emotional and logistical handyman. That is not a relationship. That is emotional servitude. What makes this even more deceptive is that it doesn't always look like malice. Some of these women genuinely believe they're being kind. They'll say thank you. They'll flash a smile. They might even flirt a little. But Stoicism isn't interested in words, it's interested in actions, in truth. And the truth is in the pattern. If every message from her leads to a favor, if every call ends with a request, and if her affection has a price tag, then your presence is being purchased, not appreciated. Men often stay in these dynamics because they've been taught that being useful makes them valuable. That if they just keep giving, one day she'll realize how good they are. But that day never comes. Why? Because in her mind, you're already in the role she designed for you. You're not the hero. You're the help. Stoic wisdom tells us to act with reason and integrity, not emotion. So ask yourself, is she in your life because of who you are, or because of what you offer? Would she still call if you had nothing to give? Would she still reach out if you stopped solving her problems? If the answer makes you uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is awareness being born. You are not a utility. You are not a background character in her drama. You are a man with limits, with needs, with value beyond what you can do for someone. A Stoic man does not give endlessly to those who only appear when they're in trouble. He gives where there is honor, where there is mutuality, where his time is respected, not exploited. And so, the next time her name lights up your phone, don't just look at the message. Look at the history. Look at the pattern. And then look at yourself and decide what kind of man you want to be. Because if your phone only rings when she's in crisis, you are not her man. You are her unpaid support staff. And that ends the moment you choose to respect yourself. Chapter 2. You pay for everything. A Stoic man does not resent generosity. In fact, he gives freely when the giving is rooted in virtue, not manipulation. He understands that part of being a man, in the traditional sense, is being a provider at times. But he also understands the importance of reciprocity, balance, justice. If you find yourself always pulling out your wallet, covering every dinner, every Uber ride, every gift, and she never even pretends to reach for hers, then you're not in a partnership. You're in a transaction. One where the terms are silent, but the exploitation is loud. There's a difference between offering and being expected to pay. The first is voluntary. It's an expression of care. The second is imposed. It's entitlement. And when a woman treats your financial investment as a requirement, not a gesture, she is showing you exactly how little she values you. She doesn't see you as a man with thoughts, boundaries, and emotions. She sees you as a card that swipes. A means to an end. Let's be honest, there's nothing inherently wrong with spending money on someone you care about. Buying dinner, taking trips, giving thoughtful gifts, those things can be beautiful. But only when they're part of a larger emotional exchange. When there is appreciation, gratitude, effort in return. Not just words, but actions that show she values you, not just your resources. Now take a step back and ask yourself, what happens when the flow of money slows down? Does her tone shift? Does she get colder? Does she suddenly become too busy or start picking fights? That's your answer. Because affection that fluctuates with your spending habits is not affection, it's opportunism. The Stoics taught that waste, whether of time, money, or energy, is a moral failing. Not because the resources themselves are so precious, but because your attention, your effort, and your spirit are sacred. They must be protected. A woman who drains your finances without ever giving back emotionally, physically, or spiritually is a woman who drains your soul. Slowly, methodically, all while smiling and calling it love. You are not a walking ATM. You are not a financial plan dressed up as a boyfriend. You are a human being with limits, and those limits deserve to be respected. And here's what most men ignore: a woman with a princess mentality will always see your generosity as her birthright. She won't feel grateful, she'll feel entitled. And when the cash dries up, so will her interest. She'll vanish without a thank you, without a trace of remorse. And you'll be left trying to understand what went wrong, when the answer was there all along: you were never her equal. You were her provider. A convenience. Her silent financier. This is why Stoicism matters. Because it teaches you to observe patterns, not words. To seek truth, not fantasy. To stop letting your ego fool you into thinking that buying her time is the same as earning her love. It's not. It never was. Ask yourself the brutal question: if I stopped spending money tomorrow, if I stopped the gifts, the dinners, the endless favors, would she still be here? Would she still smile at you? Still text you? Still want to spend time with you if there was no benefit for her? If the answer is no, or if you're even afraid to test it, then you already know the truth. You're not being loved. You're being used. And here's where the Stoic choice comes in. You don't need to rage. You don't need to argue or confront her with a long speech. You just stop. You stop giving where there is no appreciation. You stop fueling a dynamic where you're the only one sacrificing. You walk away, not because you're angry, but because your dignity is worth more than her affection. Women who value men don't use their wallets as measuring sticks. They contribute. They participate. They nurture. And if you've never felt that from her, then what you're experiencing isn't love, it's dependence. One-sided. Empty. Draining. A Stoic man knows when he is being exploited. He doesn't need proof, just pattern. And once he sees the pattern, he corrects course. He acts, not reacts. He leaves the table when respect is no longer being served. So stop lying to yourself. Stop pretending it's love when you know it's financial convenience. You deserve better. And the longer you keep paying for her lifestyle, the more expensive your self-respect becomes. Spend wisely. Not just your money, but your soul. Because not every woman is worth the price you're paying. Chapter 3. You're a booty call. Stoicism demands clarity, not just in thought, but in action. It teaches you to look at life not as you wish it to be, but as it is. So if you're telling yourself she's just busy for, not ready for more, while she only texts you after midnight, never makes time during the day, and treats you like a secret instead of a partner, you're not being honest. You're not her man. You're her convenience. A Stoic doesn't beg for affection dressed in breadcrumbs. If she only comes around when she's lonely, bored, drunk, or needs validation, then she's not investing in you. She's using you to fill a gap. A temporary fix for whatever emptiness she's carrying. And when that need passes, so does her interest. You are not a priority. You are a placeholder. Maybe even a warm body while she waits for the guy she actually wants to come back. Or worse, you're the in-between, someone she can control, someone who doesn't challenge her, someone who's always available. And that's where the slow poison begins. Because you start convincing yourself that this is just how modern dating works. That maybe this is the starting point. That if you're patient enough, generous enough, understanding enough, she'll eventually come around. That these late-night hookups will blossom into something real. But here's the brutal truth. Women who want something real do not treat their man like a secret or a side quest. They don't limit him to 2 a.m. texts and blurry conversations in bed. That's not intimacy. That's objectification wrapped in fake affection. And if you allow it, if you continue showing up without boundaries, without standards, you're complicit in your own devaluation. Every time you go along with it, every time you ignore your own desire for something deeper, you're sending a clear message: I don't value myself enough to walk away from being used. Stoicism is not about suppressing desire. It's about mastering it. Knowing when your impulses are leading you into traps disguised as pleasure. And this is one of them. Sex without connection, when what you truly seek is depth, is a form of self-betrayal. It dulls your intuition. It numbs your ability to see clearly. And worst of all, it ties your self-worth to someone else's inconsistent attention. If the only time she reaches out is when she wants to feel good, and never when you need to be seen, heard, or supported, then you're not in a relationship. You're in a cycle of self-abandonment. You give your time, your energy, your body, but you get nothing that feeds your spirit. No curiosity about your life. No vision for something shared. No growth. Just lust dressed up like love. And here's what's most dangerous about this setup. It keeps you hoping. Hoping that maybe one day she'll call you before dinner. That she'll want to know how your day went. That she'll start introducing you to people, making plans, building something real. But that day never comes. Because she already showed you who she is. And Stoicism teaches us to believe reality, not fantasy. You are not here to be someone's temporary pleasure while your own heart gets dismantled piece by piece. A Stoic man does not let his body be used in ways that damage his mind. He doesn't confuse physical attention with emotional intimacy. He knows the difference between being wanted for a night and being valued for a lifetime. So be honest with yourself. Ask, is she really connecting with me? Or just consuming me? If your presence is only desired behind closed doors, if there's no laughter in the daylight, no effort to understand your soul, no space for your dreams and struggles, then you are not her partner. You are her utility, her escape, her easy fix. And it's time to stop playing along. You deserve clarity. You deserve consistency. You deserve a woman who wants all of you, and not just the parts that satisfy her ego or her urges. Stop confusing casual contact for emotional connection. And stop hoping that someone who sees you as a backup plan will ever make you a priority. A Stoic man recognizes when his value is being ignored. He doesn't rage. He doesn't plead. He simply withdraws, with dignity, with strength, and with the full knowledge that his worth is not negotiable. Walk away from the illusion. Because being a booty call is not just about sex, it's about allowing yourself to be seen as less than what you are. And a Stoic man refuses to be anything less than whole. Chapter 4. It's all about her, materially. If every conversation seems to circle back to her struggles, her rent, her bills, her car issues, her wish list, her drama, you're not in a relationship. You're on a leash. One that tightens every time you give in to her sob stories or financial hints. You're not her partner. You're her plan B. Or worse, her personal ATM. A woman who constantly focuses on what she wants without ever considering what you need is not in love, she's in strategy. Her life is a chessboard, and you're just a convenient piece she moves when it benefits her position. She may come off as vulnerable, even sweet. She might say things like, I don't know what I'd do without you, but it's not gratitude. It's manipulation. She's laying the emotional groundwork so you feel guilty the next time you say no. And let's be real, Stoicism never preached being a pushover. The Stoics valued generosity, yes, but only when it aligns with virtue. Not guilt. Not manipulation. Not loneliness. A Stoic man gives from a place of strength, not because he's trying to earn affection or prove his worth. But here's where it gets twisted. She might throw in compliments at just the right time. She might praise you in public, post a photo with a heart emoji, act affectionate the moment your wallet opens. But pay close attention to what happens when you stop giving. When you draw a line. When you stop funding her impulsive desires or paying for her stability. Does she pull away? Does her warmth turn into indifference? Does she suddenly become too busy or need space? That's not love unraveling, it's the illusion fading. Her affection was never genuine. It was transactional. Conditional. Built on what you could do for her. Stoicism teaches you to pierce through surface emotions and see the reality underneath. If your presence is only valued when it comes with material benefit, then your value is being measured in dollars, not character. That's not a relationship. That's a performance, and you're footing the bill. True connection isn't based on how much you give. It's based on how much you grow together. Mutual respect. Shared responsibility. Real partnership means you help each other, not one person bleeding themselves dry while the other lounges in entitlement. A woman who expects you to fix her life while offering nothing in return is not broken, she's just opportunistic. And the worst part? She knows what she's doing. She's not naive. She's strategic. She counts on your silence, on your sense of duty, on your desire to be the good man. But a good man is not a used man. A Stoic man understands that generosity without discernment becomes self-betrayal. He helps where help is needed, not where help is exploited. He doesn't confuse being noble with being naive. Look at your relationship. Are you constantly rescuing her? Are you the one paying, planning, providing, while she offers excuses, delays, and empty praise in return? If so, step back. Take inventory. Because love that depends on your money isn't love at all. It's dependency dressed up in flirtation. And here's the brutal truth: if she loses interest when the benefits dry up, she was never interested in you. Just your ability to solve her problems. A Stoic man refuses to be used. He doesn't throw his energy into a black hole. He invests where there's growth, where there's reciprocity, where there's mutual elevation. Anything else is a scam with a smile. So stop feeding the illusion. The woman who expects everything and gives nothing is not your partner, she's your burden. And a wise man does not carry what drains him. He walks away. Not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. He knows the difference between a lover and a leech. Let her go. Let her find someone else to fund her fantasy. And reclaim your strength. Because being needed isn't the same as being valued, and a Stoic man only stays where he is valued. Chapter 5. She never asks about you. Look closely at your conversations. Not just the words, but the intent behind them. When was the last time she genuinely asked how your day went, not out of politeness, but with curiosity? Has she ever paused to ask what drives you? What weighs on your mind? What you fear? What do you dream? What do you wake up fighting for every single day? Or is every exchange just another monologue where you're the audience, nodding, validating, listening, but never truly being seen? A woman who uses you has no interest in your inner world. Because understanding it would mean she's invested in you as a human being, not just as a utility. And that's the difference. She doesn't want you, she wants what you provide. Your time, your energy, your emotional support, but without giving anything real in return. She might smile. She might be sweet. But it's surface level. There's no depth. No curiosity. No desire to discover who you really are. Because to her, you're not someone to know, you're someone to use. And the less she knows, the easier it is for her to keep taking without feeling guilty. The Stoics taught that true love, true friendship, any authentic relationship relies on mutual recognition. That means seeing the other person, not just standing beside them. It's about stepping into their world, understanding what makes them who they are, and choosing to be part of that journey. But when a woman never asks about your thoughts, your struggles, your values, it's because she doesn't care to step into your world. She doesn't see you as a man with depth. She sees you as a function. As someone to text when she's bored, call when she's down, or lean on when it's convenient. You're a placeholder, not a partner. And here's the part that stings: each time you open up, when you share something personal, something raw, and all you get in return is a blank stare, a boredom, or a quick subject change, something inside you starts to shut down. Slowly, quietly, you start to retreat from your own voice. You begin to doubt whether your inner world even matters. and that is spiritual erosion. You become a ghost in your own relationship, physically present, emotionally starving. You're giving and giving, hoping she'll notice, hoping she'll reciprocate. But she won't, because she never planned to. You were never a person in her eyes. You were a role, a resource, a stepping stone on her path. A Stoic man does not tolerate this. He does not beg to be heard. He does not stay where curiosity is absent and emotional depth is unwelcome. Because a relationship without mutual interest is not a relationship, it's a transaction with lipstick on it. It's performance, not connection. And what's worse, the longer you stay in this dynamic, the more it warps your sense of value. You begin to think that maybe this is all there is. That being invisible is part of being strong. That Stoicism means silence. But it doesn't. Stoicism means knowing the difference between emotional self-control and emotional self-abandonment. The world will already try to numb you, silence you, flatten you out. The last thing you need is to be with a woman who helps it succeed. A woman who doesn't ask about your mind, your soul, your pain. That's a woman who doesn't care if you disappear, as long as your usefulness remains. You deserve someone who looks at you and wants to know more. Not because they're trying to manipulate or mirror you, but because your essence matters to them. Because your life, your experiences, your thoughts, they're valuable, not just useful. So stop mistaking her attention for interest. Stop thinking that her texts mean she's invested. If she never asks about you, she doesn't want to know you. And if she doesn't want to know you, she doesn't deserve the parts of you you've already given. Pull them back. Reclaim your inner world. Your emotions, your story, they are sacred. Don't waste them on someone who doesn't even bother to ask. A Stoic man is not afraid to walk away from someone who treats him like a tool. He is not afraid to say, "I am more than what you can take from me." Because silence in the face of disregard is not strength, it's surrender. So stop surrendering. You are not invisible. You are simply in the wrong room. Chapter 6. She avoids emotional connection. Physical closeness without emotional depth is one of the most deceptive traps a man can fall into. On the surface, it may look like intimacy, but it's a mirage. When a woman is willing to be close to you physically, to share her body, her flotation, her presence, but consistently shuts down emotionally, something is off. And it's not about timing. It's about intention. This kind of dynamic is not an accident. It's control. She keeps the door open just enough to keep you intrigued, but not enough to let you in. You feel the warmth of her touch, but you never feel seen. You hear her laugh, but you never hear her truth. And each time you try to open up, to connect on a deeper level, she changes the subject, pulls away, or masks it with sarcasm. That's not emotional maturity, it's emotional evasion. A Stoic understands the difference. He values emotional discipline, yes, but not detachment disguised as strength. Stoicism doesn't mean shutting down. It means choosing when and where to open up. And in a relationship, especially one that's meant to grow, emotional connection is not a luxury, it's a foundation. Without it, you're just acting out a script. A performance with no substance. A relationship that feels full in moments but leaves you feeling empty afterward. When a woman withholds her emotional world, she's not just being cautious, she's creating distance. She's putting up a wall while still asking you to build a bridge. That contradiction breeds confusion. You start to question yourself. Maybe you're asking for too much. Maybe it's too early. Maybe she's just not ready. And before you know it, you've rationalized away your needs in the name of being patient. But here's the truth, when someone values you, they want to share. They want to let you in, even if it's messy. Vulnerability is not a burden when there is genuine interest, it's a privilege. And when it's not offered, when she avoids every opportunity to go deeper, it's a clear message: you're not the one she's building with. You're the one she's keeping around for now. The danger in this kind of dynamic is that it conditions you to seek approval. You keep giving, hoping that eventually she'll give back. You open your heart slowly, cautiously, praying she'll meet you there. But she doesn't. And the longer you stay, the more invested you become in someone who is emotionally unavailable by design. You might find yourself obsessing over her moods, analyzing every word, every silence, every shift in tone, looking for signs of progress. But that's not a relationship. That's a one-man investigation fueled by insecurity. And the more you invest in someone who isn't emotionally present, the more you abandon yourself in the process. A Stoic man does not chase emotional breadcrumbs. He doesn't beg for connection or lower his standards for the illusion of closeness. He understands that intimacy without emotional substance is hollow. It might satisfy the ego or the body temporarily, but it starves the soul. It drains your time, energy, and self-respect. You need to ask yourself, what are you really getting from this woman? Is it connection or just distraction? Is it partnership or a performance? If every deep conversation turns shallow, if every attempt to connect is dodged, if every moment of vulnerability is met with indifference or silence, that's your answer. There is no strength in staying where you are not emotionally safe. There is no virtue in waiting for someone to care. A Stoic observes the pattern. He watches how she shows up, not just what she says. And if the pattern is one of avoidance, disinterest, and emotional detachment, he makes a decisive choice. He exits. Not with bitterness. Not with drama. But with clarity. Because the longer you stay with someone who avoids emotional connection, the more disconnected you become from your own needs. That's the slow death of a man's spirit, when he silences his own desires in the hope that someone else will finally listen. And here's the final truth: a woman who avoids emotional connection is not afraid of getting hurt. She's afraid of accountability. Because real connection requires her to show up fully, to care, to be responsible for how she affects you. And if she's not willing to do that, she's not ready for anything real. A Stoic does not wait for readiness. He does not hold his breath for someone to evolve. He chooses peace over potential. He lets go of what confuses him and walks toward what aligns with him. So if you feel unseen, unheard, and emotionally alone, stop making excuses. Her silence is not mystery. Her distance is not depth. Her lack of openness is not a challenge to win. It is a clear message. One that says you are not her priority. And when you see that for what it is, the choice becomes simple. Don't beg for connection. Don't tolerate emotional starvation. Don't confuse physical access with emotional presence. Choose to walk away, because nothing is more powerful than a man who refuses to stay where love is only skin deep. Chapter 7. She keeps you in a gray area. A Stoic man seeks clarity, not confusion, not mixed signals, not emotional limbo. Clarity is a form of peace. It's how you know you're standing on solid ground, not quicksand. But when a woman constantly keeps things vague, when she avoids labels, dodges direct conversations, and always claims she's figuring things out, understand that it's not because she's confused. It's because she's keeping her options open while keeping you on standby. You're not her partner. You're her safety net. This gray area she's created? That's her playground. It's the perfect space for someone who wants the benefits of intimacy without the burden of responsibility. She gets your attention, your energy, your time, and maybe even your body, while giving you just enough to keep you hooked, but never enough to feel secure. It's not an accident. It's a calculated pattern. And the longer you stay in that ambiguity, the more disoriented you become. You start questioning your own worth. You start wondering what you're doing wrong, why she isn't choosing you fully, why she always seems just out of reach. That's how the game works. She keeps you emotionally starved, then feeds you breadcrumbs to keep you chasing. But here's the hard truth, a truth the Stoics lived by: reality doesn't lie. If someone wanted to be with you fully, they wouldn't make it complicated. Love doesn't require a flowchart. A woman who truly values you doesn't make you guess. She shows up. She's consistent. She speaks plainly. She invests. When she doesn't do that, it's not confusion. It's clarity. She already sees your value. She's just not committed to honoring it. Maybe she likes the attention. Maybe she likes the comfort. Or maybe you're just her emotional insurance policy in case her other options don't work out. Whatever the reason, your job is not to decode her intentions. Your job is to protect your energy. A Stoic does not allow his mind to be clouded by wishful thinking. He deals in truth, even when that truth is uncomfortable. So ask yourself, how long have you been stuck in this gray area? How many promises have gone unfulfilled? How many times have you replayed conversations, looking for meaning in her vagueness? That's not a relationship. That's self-torture disguised as hope. And here's the kicker: every moment you stay in that space, you send a message. You tell her that this treatment is acceptable, that your standards are negotiable, that she can give you less and you'll still show up like a man who's being given everything. That's the most dangerous lie of all, the one you tell yourself while calling it patience. The Stoics didn't wait for others to define their worth. They moved with purpose, with integrity, with finality. If someone couldn't meet them with equal commitment, they didn't beg. They walked. Not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. So if you're stuck in the gray area, get honest. Stop romanticizing her confusion. Stop pretending this is something it's not. Look at her actions. Measure them against her words. And then ask yourself the only question that matters: does this relationship reflect the man I want to be? If the answer is no, then it's time to stop waiting. She's not going to suddenly wake up and realize how amazing you are. She already knows. She's just not willing to match that with action. And that's all the clarity you'll ever need. Watch this chapter again if you must. Let it sink in. Because sometimes the truth doesn't come in lightning bolts, it comes in patterns. In silence. In inconsistencies. And if you're strong enough to see it, you're strong enough to walk away from it. Stop making excuses. Start living like the man a Stoic would respect. Choose clarity. Choose peace. And choose yourself. A Stoic man doesn't beg for love. He doesn't chase shadows. And he damn sure doesn't let himself be used by someone who sees his value only when it's convenient. You were not put on this earth to be someone's backup plan, emotional punching bag, or ATM machine. You were meant to live with purpose, with dignity, with clarity. If any part of this episode felt like a gut punch, good. That means your instincts are waking up. That means you're finally seeing what's been in front of you this whole time. So don't look away now. Use it. Get sharper. Get stronger. Start cutting off what drains you and start investing in what builds you. Because the moment you stop tolerating disrespect, the game changes. And not just with women, but with everything. This is how a Stoic man lives, grounded in truth, unmoved by manipulation, and loyal only to what is real. Subscribe if you're done being used. Comment if you've seen these signs before. And share this with a man who needs to wake up before it's too late. You're not alone. And you're not powerless. Stay sharp. Stay grounded. And above all, never trade your peace for someone else's convenience.